All right, now you should be able to hear me. And I got this partially figured out. Ended up having to run over to the mobile studio, mobile studio. Let me go ahead and play with this a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and get the game going. So today is actually our first live AMA portion. I just had issues connecting microphone and so forth, and just struggle streaming. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the stage here, so everybody else can go ahead and pile in. You are welcome to join the stage, or you can just go ahead and ask questions. Worst case scenario, what I'll do is I'll just go through and talk about or share like some of the other stuff that I've been looking at recently. So I'll go through this beginner slide here a little bit. So Monday, Tuesday is our hands-on. Wednesday is our GRC Let's Get Technical. Thursday night, which was last night, we talked about learning styles and wellness with Space Tacos. And you can see the schedule up on the screen here. And then today is our 11 a.m. Central Time AMA open stage, just to socialize, ask questions, and so forth. If I don't know something, then I'm sure I know somebody else who does. And that's pretty much what we're looking at. So if you'd like to go ahead and come up on the stage, you can just go ahead and click that link that I dropped in chat. You can also check out our website, studygrc.org, for the rest of our social links and other platforms and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and drop these other links in here too. So like Simply Cyber. We also got B-Dubs that drops an article every Monday. And then also PBO. He was up on stage last night as well. And just let me know if the audio is coming through all right. I might have to move this around a little bit. There we go. All right. Yeah, welcome to the party, pal, everybody. We were getting some great questions last night. Let me go ahead and pull up a couple other things. And then also we have the Simply Cyber AMA that's coming up today as well. Let me move this around a little bit. All right. All right. Perfect. Yeah, the audio is definitely the struggle to get started here. So I'm running on a Linux machine, and these new Samsung earbuds do not like Linux. So having to change the inputs, like the inputs don't show in the settings. And yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. It's something I want to look into because let me try to move that around a little bit. That's one of the things I want to look into because these earbuds actually pop up two different Bluetooth connections for Linux, and I have no idea why. So if you connect to one, then you have audio only. If you connect to the other one, then you have your microphone. So you have two separate Bluetooth connections for it. I'm going to go ahead and try to block that light a little bit here. Let's go ahead and move that over. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn something on. Let's see. And then absolute worst case scenario, we could just go through some other questions, or there's also like a couple of cool things with Gemini I can go through as well if you guys don't have any questions or anything in particular to talk about. Welcome to the party, pal, Becky Gaylord, and I also see 8-Bit Oni popping in as well. And so we're just going to stick around for about the next 40 minutes or so, and then there's the Discord AMA with Simply Cyber here inside of their Discord server. Let me go ahead and pop open Gemini. So there was something in particular that I was playing with here. Where is it? So I was talking about this during one of the pre-show jaw jackings. Is there a better positioning I could put for the camera? Not really. As some of you guys may know, is I'm on site in Denver right now for Wild West. And so, yeah, we're running from the mobile studio. Yeah, no worries, 8-Bit. Thanks for popping in, though. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Go ahead and move this around a little bit. I got to be able to see my monitor, too. If PBO's taught me anything, it's struggle streaming. All right, so what I wanted to just showcase here, so if you guys have any questions or anything else whatsoever, go ahead and drop those in chat. This is our AMA, and we just meet up every Friday. It's going to be a lot more casual than like our Thursday meeting. Our Thursday meeting, we line up speakers, we do have the open discussion and so forth afterwards. But this is just going to be a 1 hour every single Friday where we just meet up, socialize a little bit more casually, and just drop resources, ask questions, and so forth. Kind of like a check-in kind of thing. So I dropped the open stage link once again. Now, if you do have questions, you could drop those in chat. You can also join our Discord server as well, especially outside of streams. That's a great option. Since I don't see any questions right now, I was just going to showcase this. So I was talking about this during one of the pre-show jaw jackings in Simply Cyber, which happens every morning before the daily cyber threat brief, about how I went through, and I find this to be really interesting because I could see a huge advantage to this. So with Gemini, I made a gem for code review of CISO Assistant. And as some of you may know, I can go ahead and drop the link to that too. So CISO Assistant, let's see. I just went ahead and dropped the link. And so some of you may know, but we played around with that a little bit. I want to do a community edition for it as well. But so that is an open source project on GitHub. I grabbed all of the source files for it. I uploaded it to Gemini using their code folder, and I could go through those steps as well on how I started that out. But then I just asked it like, oh, what is CISO Assistant? Because it had access to all of the code, and it goes through and it lists out what it is. They have a wide variety of different frameworks that are implemented with it and so forth. And then I asked it to provide the structure of the file system for this project, which it went through and did. It didn't list out everything, but all of the main components for it. And then this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So then I asked it what files or areas are a risk for APTs to target or obtain a foothold. And that's where it went through and started working on the authentication portion. So, and then it lists out some of these important sections as well. So, yeah. You gonna photobomb? We're gonna have a raid. Luke, cyber research.
Study GRC.
GRC Mafia. So this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. So I asked it about the APTs and what files are going to be the biggest issue. So then it goes through and it outlines this, and this is what I could dig into a little bit more until we get some other questions or otherwise. And so it lists out like adapter.py for the user login logic, including password validation and session management. Views.py as well, so including login, password reset, user data management, and then also their SSO component as well. It mentions some of the different API endpoints, which I find a little bit interesting because I wasn't even aware that they had API at all. But that's a little bit, it's probably internal. File upload and download functionality as well. And so then it just goes through and describes those files out. So then I asked it, okay, well, now review these files for potential code related issues. And so the very first one it goes after is that adapter.py, and it's talking about isSafe URL. So the isSafe URL function may be vulnerable to an open redirect attack. The URL has allowed host and scheme. Function checks if the URL has allowed host and scheme. So potential redirect attack. And then the second one is that views.py. So the current user view returns sensitive information about the user. Now this could be a little bit different because so it returns sensitive information about the user itself, but is that after like they've already logged in or otherwise? So that's a little bit interesting. And then there's also this third one here, so views, where it's talking about render authentication error. So a potential cross-site scripting vulnerability. And this is where I find this interesting. Now, there's no saying that any of this is true, but then this gives you kind of an insight of like, oh, okay, let's take a look at those areas. And I'm going to go ahead and prompt another one here. Let me change this around a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and modify the screen a little bit here, but then I'm going to go ahead and prompt it and say, review all code files, all file code again for high risk related scripts and provide a breakdown in a list. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get it to go back over the code itself and look over it a little bit more in depth and provide a list to us. And then let me go ahead and check chat here again. Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and drop this link. So again, this is just open format, a little bit more casual and so forth. And every single time we're just going to meet up, socialize, share interesting things and so forth every Friday for an hour. And then we're going to be following this with the Discord AMA with Simply Cyber. All right, and so now I prompted it again to look back over the code and provide a list breakdown. So again, it mentions that adapter, the views, and then also a couple other files here. And it looks like it gave us additional information now too. So now I'm going to go ahead and prompt it again. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to ask it to review a file itself. So we know that adapter.py or adapter.py, and so that's going to be a Python script. It's talking about a potential redirect attack. And so I'm going to actually ask it, I'm going to say, review adapter.py for coding errors and vulnerabilities. And we'll see how that comes out here. And we're still working with AI, so it's not necessarily going to be accurate, but then it may give us at least a direction to look, and then maybe it'll give us some insight of like different areas to look a little bit more in depth. And then I could download the source code and we could take a closer look at it. I'm not I'm not strong with Python script, but I can kind of read it. So let me go ahead and pull this up on full screen here. So here's a list of breakdown potential coding errors and vulnerabilities in adapter.py. So open redirect vulnerability. So isSafe URL function checks the URL against a loud host, but does not explicitly prevent relative URLs. All right. This could allow attackers to craft malicious links that redirect users to external sites. So I guess I could see that, like if they gain access to the machine itself, they can make another file locally and have a redirect. And so like they provide an example here. So the attacker could potentially do login next equals attacker.com. And so I'm kind of curious about that. So let me actually open up my CISO Assistant and see if just running that alone will work. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and actually pull up the Study GRC's CISO Assistant portion. And so you guys can't see this, but it does actually populate with the parameter for next equals. And so I'm actually going to go ahead and copy this section right here. And then I'm going to try this out. Let me go ahead and move the screen over here. So share this tab instead. And then I'm going to go ahead and change this to simplycyber.io. And I'm going to try a couple different variants here. And so that's prompting it for the next page there. Let me go ahead and try to sign in here. And so this is just the default page itself. Okay, so that's a little bit interesting. So it ended up going to an error page there. Let me go ahead and back up again. And I'm going to go ahead and modify this a little bit. Oh, okay, so it is actually prompting me to leave the website. That's weird. Okay. And then it took me to the analytics page. So let me go ahead and sign out again. Yeah, and we're literally just playing around with this. So I'm going to go ahead and modify this a little bit. I wonder if we did HTML, if that would work on anything. We could also do, okay, so it's popping a error 404, so that's a benefit. So this may not work at all. I'm going to pull it up on this side, and then I'm going to go ahead and try this again. Yeah, and I just find this interesting because it gives you an idea. So one of the other things it mentions here too is the pre-social login method as well. Hard-coded secret key. The authenticate method uses a hard-coded secret key, which is a major security risk if the key is compromised. Attackers could potentially forge authentication tokens. And so that's supposed to be inside of this adapter.py. So tell me more about the hard-coded key. Yeah, and we'll definitely be going more through the CISO Assistant as well. So I just prompt it to tell me more about this hard-coded key portion. And it's saying that it pulled out this snippet here for email and password. And so apparently it stores a secret key inside of settings.py. Exposure of the secret key. If settings.py file is accidentally exposed or compromised, the attacker gains access to the secret key, allowing them to forge authentication tokens and potentially getting unauthorized access. So again, that would already require that. So one of the other things, so let's take a look at like file upload. Oh yeah, and that's a really good shout out to AB. So like AB mentions that they have 90 issues and 2 bugs open right now on GitHub. And one of the cool things with this is we could do the exact same thing with other projects on GitHub as well. These different open source projects, you could just download the source files, upload it to Gemini, and do this exact same thing. And so now it's talking about the file attachment view in views.py. Let's see. So I'm just skimming some of this. So they use a library. It's recommending that. It's also recommending to sanitize the file names. Example of file validation. Okay. So how can I upload a file without login? So if we were to be able to upload a file without logging in, then that would allow us to potentially set up a reverse shell, which would give us, access to submit code, actual commands to the server itself. And so it's talking about a direct API access. I don't think that's going to work. Cross-site forgery. All right. Are there any code issues that could allow this to happen in CISO Assistant? Wow. I can't even see my screen, so. Welcome to the party, pal, Evan. Dragol 333. So, today our Friday stream is going to be a 1 hour AMA open stage. Everybody's welcome to come up, ask questions and so forth. If I don't know something, then I'm sure I could find somebody who does. Right now we didn't have any questions. So I just went through and I'm just showcasing how I was playing around with Gemini. I uploaded a GitHub project called CISO Assistant to Gemini. And now I'm just prompting it to, show as an example of how this could be utilized to at least point you in the right direction of different files that could be an issue or areas that you could look into, in order to, hopefully find any problems before they're actually exploited. And this is exactly what I would be expecting a black hat hacker to be doing as well. Because we've definitely heard that they're using Gemini and OpenAI and other AI services in order to find vulnerabilities and assist in their exploits. And so it says that there are potential code issues that could allow unauthorized file upload. So upload attachment view. So it's responsible for handling file uploads, does not explicitly include authentication checks. Okay. While it inherits from API view, which might have a default authentication mechanism, it's crucial to explicitly enforce it. A lack of cross-site reference. Yeah, so CSRF does not explicitly implement protections. All right, recommendations to enforce authentication and also implement those additional. So example of implementing both recommendations. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, and so like CISO Assistant comes in at like almost 1,200 files. So it could definitely be difficult in order to go through all of it. Maybe we'll do just at one stream, pick out like a smaller project on GitHub or something, and then play around with it for a couple hours. Yeah, so Draggle 333. I'm showcasing how this could be utilized to figure out and just get pointed in the right direction for different threat vectors on a GitHub project called CISO Assistant. And I dropped it in chat. Let me go ahead and drop the project again. But yeah, so this was one of the things that I found interesting. So if you ask it direct questions like, "Oh, how do I hack this?" or whatever it is, then obviously, then most of the time it's supposed to say, "Oh no." But if you prompt it properly, then you can actually leverage this to assist. Hopefully, keeping in mind that it is AI and can hallucinate. But this is promising still. Let me see here. Yeah, and I know that there's forks of CISO Assistant as well. I haven't looked in depth into any of it, but I know that people have copied the project over and started different versions of it as well. Maybe. So like this is the page itself. And so 90 different issues right now. Assign vulnerabilities to assets, okay. Third-party entities, okay. Import feature API. I figured I would check to see if there was anything in here. I'm not seeing anything off the bat for open issues regarding what Gemini's talking about yet. Let me move this around. Let's see. Oh wow, that was the other thing that I heard about recently is that they will be they're working on trying to provide support for OS Cal format. So Cal format is a very common format to import and export for different frameworks and like compliance programs. You'll see that on things like Archer. I'm pretty sure Audit Board has it as well. Yeah, I was looking at the labels there and I don't even see one for security flaws or anything like that. So I see like oh, maybe I didn't go all the way down. So invalid integration, help wanted, framework, epic, enhancement. I don't see anything related to security. What are some of the other ones, AB, that you see there? Oh, yeah, so there's 294 forks of it. That's quite a few. Hey, welcome to the party, pal, Steph Cluis. Yeah, so Friday is just our open stage AMA. If I don't know something, then I'm sure I could find somebody else who knows it. And I was just going through and showcasing how I was playing around with Gemini in order to. I uploaded the source code for CISO Assistant from GitHub to Gemini, and then I was asking it and prompting for like what are some of the most high risk files and so forth, just to get an idea for some of the different information. And Luke, again, bam. Oh, you're good. You're good. You're good. GRC Mafia. And if you guys don't know, so this is Luke, Cyber Research.
Consigliere to the GRC Mafia.
Exactly. I have a sticker around here somewhere. But yeah, I find this kind of interesting with prompting with Gemini. And then we've talked about how the threat actors are doing exactly this. And so I'm pulling it back up here. So like I'm just prompting it for, like check the code for any potential issues. It's mentioned a couple different potential problems. And then we would just have to manually go through and try to verify that. And then I was just looking at the GitHub page here because I was kind of curious if there was anything already reported or otherwise, and try to just dig into it a little bit more to fill it in. And then here shortly, we'll be hopping into the Discord AMA. So we'll probably run this for like maybe another 10 minutes. If you guys have any questions or otherwise, let me know. Let me see. Double checking Discord real quick because we'll be hopping over to the Simply Cyber Discord for Jerry's AMA. Well, and I don't see anything of significance on the bug portion. So like I select bug here, and it provides 3 different options. And so update library is one of them. I could take a look at that in a moment. That may be in French though. Backup restore fails, a 500 error. And then there's also front end is not returning all the assets stored in the database. So I don't see any security related ones on here. They do have 51 of them closed. Yeah, like this is all has to do with the product itself under the bug section at least. High value? Are they talking about cost? Plugin store and update requirements for control status. Maybe. Regardless, I'll be over there. Let me see. I will be opening up the stage in Simply Cyber. So if you guys can attend, I mean, that's awesome, but you don't have to. So if you guys have the time available. And also, Steph, while you're here as well, have you looked at any of the AI options like Flare or some of these other like AI based or where they utilize some of the AI for like vulnerability management or I think GitHub also has something as well. Correct. So yes, AB. So 1 p.m. Eastern today. That's the scheduled time for the monthly AMA. Yeah, I'll see you later, Steph. Thanks for hopping in. So the first Friday of every single month, Simply Cyber has an AMA inside of the Discord server, and I'll go ahead and drop the link for Simply Cyber. And then here in a few minutes, we can go ahead and transition over to that stage on the Discord server. I'm going to go ahead and take that down for a moment. Yeah, this is something I want to dig into a little bit more. I'm not really into bug bounty or anything like that, but I just find that a little bit interesting to be able to prompt for the source code, and then it has direct access to the code itself. So it at least might be able to point us in the right direction. Another thing that we were playing around with is utilizing the conversational feature for interviewing. That's another one of the videos that we need to line up as well. And maybe we'll do that for this month. So on the 27th, so the last Thursday of every single month, we have our job readiness and group resume review. And I think what it will do is we'll line up to use Gemini's conversational feature to be able to have like a practice interviews. So if anybody wants to volunteer to be a part of that, let me know. I think that would be a pretty fun activity for our job readiness stream. Um, yeah. So I'm hopping back and forth with the chat itself, but yeah. So a favorite book of mine is I'm not sure about regarding hackers mindset portion, but Cybersecurity First Principles by Rick Howard is a personal favorite. So I think I have this listed on our resource page. Let me go ahead and pop this open here. So over here on our resource, so this is our website here. And so if you head on over to our resources, then we do have a section on here for books. And so the Cybersecurity Career Master Plan by Gerald, but there's also the Phantom CISO and the InfoSec Survival Guide. But Cybersecurity First Principles is probably my favorite book by Rick Howard. And this book right here, it gives a really good breakdown. So let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit. So this book right here gives a background of information security since the 1960s until early 2020s, like it says here. However, the interesting thing is then he goes through and breaks down about how information security does not have a first principle. The closest thing we have is the CIA triad for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. However, that is not a first principle. And nobody's really been willing to accept that as a first principle either. Um, and then he goes through, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 different potential first principles to information security. And then he also explains why those may not be accepted or be classified as such. And I could drop the link to this as well, but this is like my favorite. And then also you can see on this page as well that Phantom CISO book. So the Phantom CISO book is also amazing. So that's from Michelle Kahn, and there's so much information in that. There's a lot of information you can learn and take out of that, not only from a technical side, but also to get that business side of things as well. Albright asks how Denver is. Missed today's threat briefing, so got to catch up. Yeah, and so one of the benefits, Albright, is now shortly after the daily cyber threat briefing, there are chapters now. So you can also go and review the description a little while afterwards and check out the chapters. So that should be getting updated here in the near future for today's stream. That's a pretty awesome benefit. So Wild West Mile High, so that I'm in Denver, Colorado now for Wild West Hacking Fest. This is the first year that they've had Mile High. I think the location's amazing. There's been some amazing talks. Jack Scott had her talk yesterday, which was incredible. There was a bunch of like AMA, Q&A, and so forth. An absolute deep dive into the whole world of GRC and overlap with the technical side. Especially for Wild West, you can expect more of the technical side, a lot of like red teamers and infrastructure and so forth. However, there is still a GRC mafia presence. So, to be honest with you, so like Steph Cluis asked how I compare it to Deadwood, because I went to Deadwood this last year as well. It's different. So I think the location is way better because it's in a hotel, and so everything is in the same place. So that is a massive benefit. Deadwood, you do a lot of walking. You don't really have the option to drive around in Deadwood because it's so small, but you have to walk everywhere, and that's like one of the big downsides of Deadwood. However, I would say the conference center for Deadwood is better, just because of how they have the stages and the different tracks lined up. At Deadwood, is just bigger, way larger. Here it's all inside of the hotel, and so there's hallways and then like studio rooms or conference rooms that are pretty good sized. You could probably fit 50 or 60 people in there. But like at Deadwood, for an example, you could fit, I don't know, 150, 200 people into a single track. So there's definitely a size difference. I hope that they continue Mile High here, though. I think it's really, really, really good. You would not expect this to be the first year. AB asks, I thought Wild West Denver was initially not on your list. So correct. So I was not planning to come to Denver. I did make a last minute change, and that's one reason, like for the mobile studio and so forth, is because I literally ended up packing my bags in 30 minutes and then hopped on a plane out here. And it was strictly just because of the ticket price. Was definitely worth it, and all of the people here. So there's a whole bunch of people. So like Luke C3's here, Tech Ricky, B Dubs. There's Luke Cyber Research, James McQuiggan. There's all of like a bunch of Black Hills folks here. So there's also Daniel Lowry here. Kimberly showed up. Like there's dozens and dozens of amazing people, and that's why I booked a ticket last minute. Uh, Albright asked, "How expensive is it to go to Deadwood?" So uh, that it's somewhat affordable if you can get the conference ticket and not the additional training. Correct. So typically with Wild West, they have 2 days of training, which the training is expensive, in my opinion. It's definitely directed towards businesses and not individuals. They do have amazing training, but one of the courses I do plan on taking is going to be for the space systems with Tim Fowler, just because that's a big interest of mine. But the training is not required. You can just get a ticket. Now, what I will say is that like the ticket prices are still a little hefty though. So you're looking at your travel and stay cost. So your flight, your hotel, food and beverage. They do supply lunches and like dinners at least one of the nights. And but still, like the ticket prices, I think last year, I think Deadwood was $350 or $400 a ticket, and then Mile High was $450 for the ticket. So it kind of depends on where you're at and what you can do for the hotel and so forth and whatnot. But yeah. So if I had to choose between so like my original plan was Hackspace Con because I wanted to check that out. I'll be going to that in Florida in May, and then Deadwood in October, and then Simply CyberCon will be sometime in November. That was my original plan. I wasn't planning on coming out here. Like Simply CyberCon, the price of the flight and hotel. Well, and that's the thing, Albright, is that there's still definitely a cost. Like I would probably say I would budget $1,500 for the trip. So if you look at hotel, the ticket price, and then um, what you spend on site and so forth, I would probably be budgeting. It's going to depend where you're coming from, but I would still be looking at like $1,500 to $2,000 for the trip. So it's definitely a pretty hefty price but I mean, you're also traveling across the country and so forth as well. So it's definitely a vacation. Simply CyberCon, for an example, like I think one of the problems with Simply CyberCon was just like the travel areas. So like the hotel options that were available, at least what I saw, were on the higher end, and just trying to get around in the city itself. So we'll see how this year's Simply CyberCon works out. But I think it's kind of like that with all of the different cons. If I had to choose between Mile High or Deadwood, I would probably still choose Deadwood just because that's the original. And there's people who come from like around the world there. But also an important thing is that this is the first year Mile High is happening. So I would expect next year for it to be even more popular than it was this year. Like there's dozens and dozens and dozens of people here that are just absolutely incredible. So absolutely great turnout and people here. So I could definitely see Mile High turning into just as Deadwood has, where you get people from around the world traveling for it. AB asks, are you carrying your home internet with you to Denver? Reference with Eric Taylor during jaw jacking. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. I just use mobile hotspot with a VPN. And then I just have a cheap laptop that I use for travel. So I have like a gaming laptop, but that thing weighs like 15 pounds and ain't nobody got time for that. Here in a moment, I'm going to transition over to Discord though. Do you plan on hosting a Study GRC conference in the near future? I don't know. So if we can make a conference happen, we definitely will. There is a GRC conference that I know about. I don't know all of the details on it. I will drop those in Discord here in a little while, but I could see something in the future at some point. The GRC Mafia does run deep. Yeah, and then Albright says that was helpful. Yeah, and see, that's the thing. That's the biggest problem with the conferences is you have to plan and budget for it. So that was like my thing is like it's not cheap, and so just Hackspace Deadwood, and Simply CyberCon. I mean, that's a hefty sum right there. And there's a lot of people who just go to one conference a year, and another big factor is that a lot of the people who attend, their companies are paying for at least part of the expense. So, or some reimbursement, and it's not 100% out of pocket. So yeah, the Deadwood tickets will typically, like, I think they sell out relatively quick within the first couple months. I don't know when those are going to go on sale, but I would assume probably by June or July, I would be expecting that. That's probably what I would be expecting is like June or July for the Deadwood tickets to go on sale. Out of all of the conferences, I would probably pick Deadwood if you can only go to one. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Thank you for everybody who hopped in. If you guys have extra questions and so forth, definitely drop those in Discord, and I'll be starting the stage over there for the Discord AMA here in a moment. So I'll see you guys over there. The last thing here, so Space Taco says, you sound a little different. You good? Were you up all night partnering with GRC Mafia? Well, that could also, that's probably the environment itself. This is just like an open AMA, open stage and so forth. So it's a little bit of a different format than like our Thursday. I did drop the stage link and so forth. But this is all just unplanned, unscheduled, as far as like scripting and so forth. I don't run off any scripts at all. So yeah, and then also the headset itself. So my audio is actually going through my headset itself. And I'm even running through mobile because I was having issues connecting it through the laptop. But no, I don't. I'm not really one for the parties. But yeah, I'll see you guys in Discord here shortly. You guys have a great rest of your day. I hope to see you guys on the Discord chat as well. And I'll catch you guys next time. GRC Mafia.